Okay, as usual with these things, we have a ton of slides to get through, and time is very limited. So this is update number 6. It's pre-construction planning. So it's a project update. We're going to introduce Kieran O'Connor, Stewart Construction, and also supported by PPM. We're going to show some of the federation of the various different design discipline models, and also then afterwards the Genius, the BIM bar, which is a new thing. This is the project team. Seeing the photographs, some of the faces have changed and some are missing. And some have been added. So that's going to be an interesting Photoshop for later on. Also, you should know that all these presentations are available now on a web page on the CITA website. It gives some background, the introduction, what it's all about, and also the presentations themselves. The PowerPoints are available as in PDF and download. You can just contact Barry McCauley to do it. Just the last we had a team group presentation in March, and in April we ended up just having one presenter on each day. So Colin Reid presented on M&E in May, and then we had Kathy Malloy of Austin Reddy and Associates presented in May. And they're great presentations, but what it actually meant is that the original project goal of integrating the team got a little bit fragmented. That we had quite an integrated team in the early few months and the early few presentations with a lot of interactive and feedback, and then I think what happened is people were extremely busy with different workloads. Again, this is a purely voluntary effort. My wife keeps asking me why we're doing this, but it's a purely voluntary effort, hoping to raise all boats, and also trying to see through try to get at some reality of all of this BIM stuff and BIM hype. The vision, there's five goals there on the website. Integrate to collaborate. That comes from Mervyn Richard, who said even without any technology we should be looking at 10% saving by people just sitting around the table and communicating, and that includes the contractor. So what we tried to do in this session was refocus. Also create process flow of information so you can read. That's all self-explanatory, and also try to highlight where's the value for all the designers involved, the contractor involved, and also fundamentally the client and FM. A lot of talk about digital. Well, this is digital, ones and zeros. You know, computers understand this, bread and butter. I can only understand it by putting in a translator. And if I put in a translator with Japanese conversion, that's what I get. And of course, the English version of that is our team, a team motto, vision without action. So again, we're trying to take action. So this month, try to refocus the team with a meeting in my offices in North County Dublin. And we had Stuart involved. John Paul Construction had to withdraw from the team because due to commitments down in the Middle East. And so Stuart's been supported by, that's on the left there, that's Grove Maguire from PPM. And they worked with Synchro, and Stuart's have worked with Synchro before, so that was the fit on that. We did get, Gerald Sullivan was kind enough to give us an Autodesk Buzzsaw presentation, because actually our collaboration online is actually with using Dropbox. Right? And Dropbox is great. I've got a 50 gig Dropbox account, so pretty much all the folders are going through my office email. But with Dropbox, it's not ideal for auditing, audit trails, control of information. So we were looking at other applications. We did look at try to look at project-wise in the early days of the project, but really that was just a little bit outside our budget. But certainly, I think on larger projects, tools like that will come into their own. But Buzzsaw, we've got the demonstration, so we're still hoping to implement that throughout the rest of the team, because we want to try to prove. A lot of us, we've never used a lot of these tools before, so it's the first time, so we're just trying to be transparent about our experiences and what we're finding. Again, we refocused online meetings, Trevor Woods, Construct IT, also Kathy again with cost test, looking at the model, how we're exchanging files, what information are we missing, and how can we improve our design outputs to give them more what they want. Also, I would say that we actually looked at using PPM. We're hoping to use the Bentley Navigator tool and also Navisworks tools, but a little bit more about that later. these are the KPIs that Barry McCauley, our PhD student, has developed in line with our vision, goals, and values. And with that, and actually there's a survey now at the moment, so we're hoping to have more input on that on the next meeting, and really how we're doing it. So I'm just going to hand over to Kieran, who's been 11, he's a chartered engineer, he's been 11 years with Stewart Construction, so he's going to talk about Stewart's and their input on the project.
Thank you, Paul. Good morning, everyone. Just give you a brief introduction. My name is Kieran O'Connor. I'm a chartered engineer with JSL Group Limited, trading as Stewart. I work as a contracts manager, and I started as site engineer, and I've worked up over the years to the level I am at the moment. This morning I'll be discussing briefly our company, what we do, our experience with BIM to date, and pre-construction planning for the CITA project. Stewart was founded in 1902 and is to this day still managed and owned by the Stewart family, fourth generation. They've a strong culture of delivering quality projects to clients that include design and build, office buildings. This culture of quality is evident through a lot of return clients that we retain on a year-on-year-out basis. We've recently achieved certain awards such as the School Building Project of the Year and Civil Engineering Project of the Year 2013. We also have completed projects such as the retail sector, sports and leisure. Part of our sustainability, we are proud to have achieved certain projects with a view of sustainability. We completed the first publicly funded BREEAM Excellent retail office in a design and build basis for the decentralised office in Roscommon, and we are currently targeting a LEED Gold certificate standard for another building that we've completed recently. We do try to engage in new technologies, and we do see that. So let's skip down a bit. We do see that. Feel that BIM is definitely the future for the construction industry. Yeah, sorry, no, I just missed a slide there. We did engage in BIM and generated a BIM model for the Tipperary office, and we found this to be a very interesting procedure. We use it mainly as a learning tool for our own staff, and we did receive very good feedback from the client. We carried out some clash detection and sequence modelling for the whole structure. It was used primarily as a learning tool for us and for our company. So you can see there the model, how it's turned out. In terms of the pilot project, we were very excited to become involved in the pilot project, again to try and learn more about how BIM can be used for our own benefit to become more commercially viable and more competitive. And when I suppose looking at pre-construction planning, you tend to look at various elements such as the scope of the works, building structure, site constraints, budget duration, prelims, sequence, setup, procurement, and all of these obviously feed into health and safety. The information that we would use to try and understand the scope of the project, obviously the 2D drawings. We see there are obviously a lot of demolitions to be carried out in terms of the existing structures to be altered, and there are obviously new elements to be built as well, extensions, to some site works, and 1 and 2 story elements to be built. The existing structure of the building is a steel portal frame, and I'm very new to actually using the software, the Untitled BIM site, and I did find it very powerful, and it gives an awful lot of information in terms of what is there and what is to be achieved. But I did find that while using the software that I wanted to have the hard copy of the A3 drawings in my hand as well at the same time, just to I suppose more of a backup, because you do get comfort in what you're familiar with. We can see that there are obviously certain elements of precast to go into the building. There's first floor timber, joists and roof covering, and M&E elements as well. We can see from the model that there are new internal finishes and roof coverings and cladding, etc., to be built. So all this information is, can be taken from the model, from the scope of works, the specifications, bill of quantities, and obviously from there you want to try and build your final construction program. I think it's important to say that the project is assumed to be between tender stage and construction stage at the moment. And under the current government public contracts, you cannot appoint a contractor until the full design is complete. So I suppose constructability reviews is one of the elements that BIM is, it's a feature of BIM that the contractor is involved in the constructability review, but you obviously can't have a constructability review when the design is complete to appoint the contractor. So currently I suppose the situation with the government contracts don't necessarily allow that to occur. But from I suppose the scale of the project, that you can understand the scope and the durations, you would kind of focus on what prelims are going to be required. So on-site and off-site staff, welfare facilities, scaffolding, plant and equipment. These might seem like very banal items, but they're obviously critical to completing the building. And on a project of this scale, you have, I suppose, limited resources as such to try and complete the building. From looking at the model, I found obviously looking at site constraints, the model was very, very useful in even seeing the lie of the land. I have never been on site, but I can see straight away that there are overhead power lines. The building is adjacent to a road. There are quite a severe slope towards the back of the site. There are adjacent buildings, houses, church, and all of these would feed into how the site is going to be managed. How are you going to manage deliveries in and out? How are you going to manage traffic with the public? And in terms of the power lines, is there going to be clashes with potential plant and equipment? We can see from the site layout plan that the building itself is out to the extremities of the site. So that would mean that obviously you cannot really drive around the site with any plant and equipment, which means that you're going to have to put up a tower crane. So that was a rough estimation of where the crane would go, and I basically just drew that on the page with a compass. So there was nothing very technical about it, but obviously the model can show that, and we can put that on the model, and it is shown later. The red line would indicate where obviously there may be protection needed for overhead power lines, the consultation with the ESP networks, etc., to make sure that that's feasible. John Paws did produce the site layout for showing the compound, so we can see the unloading area for where the containers would go, and the hoarding line. In terms of the construction sequence, obviously all this information that we're gathering from the model and also from the other documents would feed into our construction sequence and our plan. And they're basically the high-level sequence of events that we would undertake. And I suppose we will be drilling into more detail with the next presentation in terms of the construction program. We'll be identifying activities, duration estimates and dependencies, cost estimates, cash flow, and all these will be linked back to the model, and I'm interested and excited to see how this will actually work in reality. In terms of health and safety, and John did touch on it, that the health and safety is obviously critical to what we do, and to plan ahead is critical, because if you don't plan, you're going to have an accident. And the model is, I was very impressed by the amount of information we could take from it, and what control measures need to be put in place to prevent accidents and to increase the level of safety on site. So, for example, you can see that we can model the protection for the overhead power lines. You can see the hoarding in place, the site containers, and obviously the site layout there, obviously in the model. And I think it gives a very good feel for what is going to be required to build this building in a safe manner. You can reduce the amount of prelims you want to have on site, the amount of scaffolding, and to a minimum. and obviously you can do a measure as well for how much you're going to require. And just finally, I suppose there's been a lot of high-tech slides and graphics shown today, and I'm going to leave it with this one, which is very basic, a man digging a hole with a shovel. And you might ask, why is that there? Like the shovel probably predates the telephone box, and yet they're still using sites today, and I think they'll be using sites for a long time yet. I don't think we're going to be able to fully, replace reality with virtual world, and you won't be able to get away from the fact that you're going to need experienced construction professionals to go out on site and see exactly what is there. Nothing's going to replace that. So thanks for your attention.
I'm just going to finish up with some of the clash detection we actually did on the model, and then I'm going to just go through rapid fire. Actually, this is a native one. I got this from Bernard in ArchiCAD. It's a combined model with the M&E and the architecture. And also, Bernard Voortman had a meeting with Colin Reid at M&E. There's a Revit model there on the screen, and there's Bernard's the ArchiCAD architectural model. And really, okay, they're not it's not digitally combined, but they're intellectually combined, because there's two intelligent people who are sharing, discussing information about the model. That's actually the export Revit model, and I think and the IFC and the import in the ArchiCAD. And really, when I see stuff like this, I think it really just comes down to the translations. The translators aren't properly aligned. We've had lots of problems. Sometimes it's too much information, or there's a little setting that needs to be done. So there's definitely a learning curve with giving people as in all communication, there's issues with what information do you get and give. So this is the site, in Untitled BIM site. You can see there on the left hand side there's a new structural model, M&E model, and an architectural model, and they're all federated, similar to we've seen in other packages. And literally, this is what you can do. You can build sequences. This is fast forwarded of the various slides that you can take from the Untitled BIM site. So really, to highlight areas, you can see run clash detection for different rules. You can set up different rules for clashing. Looking at the back of the site, you can see there's one of the M&E. There's an air handling unit right in front of an exit door. So obviously that's a big problem. Also up in the ceiling space here, there's loads of clashes with ducting. Deliberately done, and you can assign priorities and responsibilities for that, and as we've seen in a few of the other presentations as well. So just from my point of view, and actually I know that Alan McDonald would think differently, but I'm a structural engineer, and actually I use ArchiCAD as my platform. There's a lot of reasons for that. I can tell people about it afterwards, but I won't go into it now. But any BIM modeling environment, the attraction of working in 3D is a different experience. That's just full stop. Looking at plans, sections, elevations, that's how we're trained to work and think in a methodical type fashion. Working 3D is a wholly different experience, and it's something that it takes time to learn how to do that. But there are advantages in this space. You can see the shaded out bit. That's actually the headroom that's required. Because I have a downstand beam of structure and I have a little bit of structure. Actually, my beams could be deeper, the surfaces could come through, or do you know what? I can pop the beams up into the floor. There's lots of things you can do, and actually seeing it like that, you maybe develop a better appreciation for some of the models. Also, seeing some of the interfaces, the interactions, some of the slope issues, retaining walls that are retired there, you're going to have to suspend the floor. Also get for a client perspective, being able to show them this is a structure. It's not rocket science or anything like that. These are just elements of structure. And also, because there's an existing timber floor, you have to vent. There's a lot of other issues that may not be immediately apparent. And then from clash detection, you still need I think educated and trained professionals who are going to be looking at this. Also, other things like fallout into the model, which could be assigned by clash detection rules. But other things are just come from modelling error. simply when you just copy and paste multiple copies, particularly in any BIM authoring tool, you can end up with issues like this. You know, obviously a purlin dropped across the floor, but you can correct that easy enough. This is the MEP model referenced in the ArchiCAD. I was actually dead impressed how pretty clean it came in, and also to work with basically in the 3D space with these type of applications is just pretty cool, and actually to see that you can actually align them with windows or whatever you want to do to avoid a different structure. This is one thing we found in this project, that actually SketchUp has been a very versatile project. I particularly like it because it's very cost effective and a low entry point, I guess, particularly if you just want to play with a 3D modeling space. But actually there's a structural model taken into SketchUp. I'm actually surprised by the visualization. Also, a thing to note is actually some of the file sizes. It's interesting. An IFC zip file is only a fraction of an IFC model file, but then native model files can be much bigger, or a VRML file gets very big. We took it into Celebri Model Checker, and you see there on the left hand side you can highlight elements in the model, and actually gives you a lot of data about that model. That's, it's just a case in point. Also, you can see other applications. You can see that the information does track through. So these are free viewers. Anyone can look at them, and there's a load of them that we looked at. So and again, there's the MEP engineers might be interested in. There's a DDS viewer. Actually, Celebri, DDS viewer, Tekla, they're all Scandinavian, and I suppose there's a lot of free viewers available. And I suppose Building Smart, there's a lot of development in IFC, particularly all coming out of Scandinavia. There's one thing, it's shot from the DDS viewer. I like. You import the model, and of course it picks up the location, so it's tying it through. And I believe, particularly for M&E, because it's developed for MEP engineers, that's something that's interesting. This way, I've got so much software on my laptop. I actually have a Navisworks viewer. I know Trevor Woods gave a copy of a Navisworks file to Jared to have a look at it, and this is one thing that it was working okay, and then I wasn't able to look at it again. So software, it happens, needs to be updated, needs to be managed. So if you have a lot of tools on your desktop, it doesn't work like that. And the last one I show is some of the input from Garode Maguire from the Federated Cinco model. This is up the side again. He took a lot of different discipline IFC files, and he took them through the site. There's a demolitions model, some of the site works set out. We had some clash detection initial reports, clash detections again, and then it can again compiles a report, and we've seen that again before. And that's pretty much. We've a Genius BIM bar gonna just happen now. And the idea, the Genius BIM bar, I'll just say, I didn't know what a Genius bar was, but apparently that's an Apple thing. I don't use Apple products. I just use Windows, and I think there's analogies there with people who use different types of software. You just never use the others because you just never use them. So maybe there's shift in thinking. So and changing your thinking is healthy, I think. So we're going to join that with the vendors. Myself and Bernard will set up our own laptop, so people are welcome to look at the project files, and hoping we're going to share those IFC with the vendors, and certainly in due process, and hopefully with the wider group, so everyone can learn from the experience. So next month we've kind of on-site project management, share IFC models refinement, and again we're going to, I think that the Genius BIM bar, we're going to try to do that interactive. I think people should, once you get close and personal with the models, you actually, it's great stuff really, and the potential is huge, and the code compliance checking, and that's a target. We haven't started that yet, so that's it.
Thank you.